look, it's summertime. There's movies, sequels. I think it's going to work.
I understand what you're saying, man, but Thelma and Louise 2 is just not going to happen.
Yes. Yes.
It's the Summer Movie Spectacular, where we review the previews, tell you what to see, what to miss, and tell you what'll be the biggest hits. I'm Lunchbox, that's Jester. Bring out the tributes!
Alrighty, we're moving on here to June. And June 5th marks the first Friday of that month. And we'll also do a mini digression here that summertime is a great time for movies. No, summertime is when not only do you have movies coming out a lot on Fridays and such, but sometimes you have those middle of the week ones because, well, you have a holiday that falls in the middle of the week. But traditionally, it's, every Friday you'll have something new coming out. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting to see the way these movies play off of each other, whether they're going to knock what out of the top spot, whether something's going to hold strong, whether the movie that was supposed to do like gangbusters, everybody's going to be cracking champagne, and now they're cracking open the tissue boxes. So it's fun stuff, and it's interesting, especially when you have overlap of movies quicker than expected, because I always wonder what they're thinking in the studios when it's like you have a big release on a Friday, but then you have something else that's also a big release coming out the following Wednesday, because what do you do? I mean, that's all part of the question that they ask when they're in the office.
Yeah.
But so kicking off on that first Friday of June is Insidious 3. A jump scare horror movie that I could care less about because, as we've talked about before, there's this little thing called October.
Yeah. I think you mean you couldn't care less.
Oh, I could care less? Could not care less?
Could not care less.
Could not care less.
Because I couldn't possibly care less.
No, I couldn't care less either. So there. I'm caring less than you. In fact, I want to move on from this as quickly as possible because it just looks like a stupid... I'm going to say it bombs. It's a horror movie in the middle of summer.
Well, is there any other horror movies coming out?
Why are we even asking this question if there's more horror movies coming out in the middle of June?
Well, yeah, why? But teenagers love horror movies.
Teenagers may love horror movies, they're stupid. But not all teenagers.
But is there any horror movies that are going to step on it? Is my question. Well, Vatican Tapes.
Vatican
Tapes.
Was
like 2 weeks before.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I think that you get the horror movie crowd. It does okay.
Oh, like Friday night, it's one big day, and then we'll see Insidious 4. So will it do well?
Yeah,
it might make enough money to inspire a fourth sequel.
Yeah, it'll probably make enough to inspire a fourth.
Will you see it? Should you see it?
No.
No. Either of us going to see it?
No.
We have better movies to see.
I didn't watch 1 or 2. Yeah. Even though I heard 1 was pretty good, but
it's like you have a hard... I don't like horror movies in general. My feeling is if you want to see something, go see the classics. I've said it again. I've said it again and again and again. Boris Karloff. Yeah. Get your horror fix that way. Watch the classics.
Right. Yeah, and I've said it a million times. Well, I'll tell you what to watch in our October show where I tell you what the best horror movies are.
Yeah.
So we'll cover that in October when movies like this are
when
supposed
horror movies
to
are supposed to come out.
Coming out.
Anyway. Halloween time, children. Thank you. Okay. Also coming out June 5th is Entourage. And unless another trailer comes out, personally, which I feel like explains the plot a little bit better, I have almost no interest. It's an ensemble cast populated by people to me that are kind of no names. It has big stars in it that are, for what all the world to me looks like, cameos and check cashing. And also, I feel like I'm getting the quote-unquote hard sell on how cool, quote-unquote, again, like a lot of quote-unquotes, but yeah, that's the only way I can think of it, is how cool this movie is going to be. But all the people look like selfish, obnoxious jerks, and why would I want to spend time with them? I feel like, how do I say it? I don't mind if the characters are a little bit dirty, like bad people. I loved Snatch.
Yeah.
It's a good film, man. Pretty much everybody in that film is kind of off, except maybe Jason Statham's character and Brad Pitt's character are kind of cleanish side, but not totally.
Not totally untarnished.
They're not totally untarnished because they're involved in the world of underground boxing, but they're not like as reprehensible. You feel for them. You have some kind of empathy for them. I had no empathy for the people that I saw on the thing, and I have no. How do I say it? I need at least even a smidgen of something to make me interested in saying I can kind of identify with that, or at least I can be interested in where this character is going. If the movie ended with, if I feel like the movie could have begun with the whole cast getting nuked and then like maybe one survivor on Wasteland or something, that would be fine by me. But yeah, I don't know. Again, it looks like it's trying too hard to look cool. You know what I mean? I guess not, because you paused.
Yeah, well, I love the show. The HBO show ran for, I think, 7 seasons, something like that. But I watched the entire run. I'm a big fan of the show and really enjoyed it. It's the show began as it's produced by Mark Wahlberg. Basically, his story of him being famous and him bringing his friends out and kind of a takeoff on that. He's kind of like used that as a basis for the show, and it's kind of based on him and his friends. And so you've got him as being the big, you got Vinny Chase as the big action star and becomes a huge star. You've got his brother that's not as famous, and and he's drama. It's all of those things. You've got his lackeys, his best friends growing up that do all of the little things that he needs done, and go help him do things, and they're all best friends and hang out, and it's like really the bro version of Sex and the City.
I was gonna say, this sounds like Sex and the City, only with dudes.
Yeah,
and
basically
I thought that
film, basically is, but it's Sex and the City in Hollywood with dudes, and it's so much fun, and Jeremy Piven as Ari Gold is just perfect, and I really, really love the show. Hated to see it end. So glad they're making a movie. I'm really looking forward to it. And really, I can't expect that anybody who hasn't seen the series would be interested in watching the movie. And yes, there's going to be a bunch of cameos because, well, the TV show had a bunch of crazy cameos. And that was kind of half of the fun of the show, was who the crazy cameo person was going to be. Who's going to show up playing, quote-unquote, themselves this week. And, and Seth Green starting a fight with Drama because they both were in love with the same girl, or, whatever. Well, no, he started a fight with E. But, they have these things where they kind of, it's, I guess it probably doesn't work if you don't watch the show, but I think that if you watch the show, you're dying for the movie.
Maybe. Again, I've never been sold on, like, let's hang around with people who seem kind of narcissistic. It's just not my thing. But I can see it pulling in the people who've seen the show. With that said, I'm guessing, will it do well?
Yeah, I think it will.
I don't see it.
I think the Entourage series did well enough and was popular enough that I think that it'll do a decent audience. I don't think it's going to be huge.
No,
I don't think it's going to be huge, but I think it'll do well.
Okay, I'm guessing bomb. And should you go see this?
I'm going to. And if you like the series, go see it. If you didn't like the series, or if you have no interest, then don't. I mean, it's for fans of the series. It really is. I mean, if you're not a fan of Firefly, don't see Serenity. It's really what it comes down to.
And again, I can get that. I just think that it's, my guess is a bomb, and that obviously, if you aren't a fan, you're going to see it.
But I think that there's enough fans that, and I think there's enough there that they'll see it.
Maybe.
What else you got?
Love and Mercy. Apparently it was at Sundance last year. Now it's getting wider release. It's a biopic of Brian Wilson, and has I don't know who the young guy is who plays the young version of Brian Wilson, but I know John Cusack is playing the older Brian Wilson, and I think it could do well. Maybe moderate success, makes its money tying up words here. Makes its money back. It looks like Oscar bait, but I'm okay with that to a degree because it seems like biopics about music stars, like former music stars, seem to do well, especially when you're hitting on music stars that everybody cares about. You couldn't have a biopic about, well, even if you have like a fake biopic, like the one with that, I almost said Kurt Russell, that's not right, sorry. Like have a fake biopic-ish type movie with somebody like Jeff Bridges and Maggie Gyllenhaal, whatever. Gyllenhaal. It just, how do I say it? They make good films. They make for good movies. Yeah. And you want to see...
certainly Brian Wilson, definitely an interesting enough character.
Brian Wilson is interesting enough story on his own.
Yeah, and sitting around listening to Smiley smile.
Yeah, I was going to say, who doesn't want to sit around for a few hours listening to Beach Boys tunes? Yeah. I mean, really. And this is why movies like the, why'd I go blank? Walk the Line do well. It's because people want to see, even if they know that it's not totally a documentary about the person, you go in with that kind of feel, but it's done in a nice dramatic way. So I think it's will I go see it?
I thought that it looked pretty good actually. Like from the trailers, it looks like it's pretty well done. And if Bare Naked Ladies Brian Wilson doesn't play over the ending credits, then I'm going to be very disappointed. But
that would be smart. But again, this came out at Sundance last year, so but those are usually like shorter versions of movies they're trying to sell as a longer thing, isn't it?
No, they play the whole movie.
They play the whole movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking of something else. Any case, I think. Will I see it maybe on video?
Oh, I'm definitely going to see it. I seldom go to the movie theater anymore, but it's definitely one that I want to see. Probably pick it up on video as soon as I possibly can. Hard to get people around here to watch movies, documentaries, especially like that.
But it's a biopic, so you might.
Biopic, but it's one of those that I might end up having to watch myself, and but definitely one that I really want to see, and if I was more inclined to go to the movies more often, then I would definitely try and make it out for this one because I think it'll probably be pretty good.
I think I said maybe modest success. I would say if you out there in the audience want to go see it, I would recommend going to see it at some place like the Alamo Draft House there in Littleton, where you can kind of sit back and eat food and have a beer. I don't feel like this is a quote-unquote popcornish kind of movie, but a movie you'd want to sit back and enjoy a meal with, which is why I think of watching it at home. But, that pretty much takes care of the first weekend in June. And honestly, June does not open up that strong to me.
No,
not
really
with Insidious, Entourage, Love and Mercy. This is going to be a second weekend for San Andreas, and maybe still actually you're going to have some carryover for Mad Max. I think Mad Max is still going to be carrying over.
Mad Max is still going to keep carrying over?
Oh yeah, I think Mad Max is going to be carrying over a bit, and same with excuse me, the Avengers sequel, but. I grant those are going to be tapering off at this point, and more people are going to be seeing Andreas still because it's in the second week. But I still think that, how do I say it? I don't see any of these movies breaking the top 5. Insidious, Entourage, or Love and Mercy.
I think Entourage is going to surprise you. I think Entourage is going to hit number 1.
The place where it would surprise me is if it hit 5th. Okay. It would blow me away if it got first.
It's going to win the box office that weekend.
And remember, I got to remind myself here that what I'm looking for is their overall take for that first weekend. Because the second week of a movie, everything traditionally drops about 50%. Yeah. And if a movie starts off with like 50 million, its second week it only makes 25 million in the best of worlds. Yeah, so if Entourage opens up to 26 million and San Andreas in its second week drops to 26 million or 20 million, which would be disastrous for it if it did that.
Well, it's not even going to hit that as San Andreas.
Okay, so you feel like it's one of the bombs. You feel like it's going to be a summer bomb. But you already said that Tomorrowland is your money bet for a big summer bomb.
Yeah, Tomorrowland is going to be the big bomb.
Okay.
Yeah, San Andreas I think will do okay. Not going to be near what they expected to do. Tomorrowland's going to be the big bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, but that's the weekend of the
I think Entourage.
You think Entourage is actually going to take that weekend?
Put my money on that one.
I'm putting it on San Andreas. Takes one more week. It drops, and almost gets toppled. I'm seeing like a $26-25 million matchup where it's like,
is it going to be close with who?
If you've sold me enough that you can convince me that Entourage might move into the top 5, but not that it's going to take the top spot, and that'll only be because of the drop off that'll be experienced by San Andreas. But the following week is I don't want to say a game changer, but the following week's where basically I see that as the fresh start of movies. And this is June 12th we're looking at. It's the only movie out there worth mentioning. It's Jurassic World.
Yeah,
starring Chris Pratt.
Might just awesome. Be the only movie worth mentioning this summer.
Really?
It's the one that... It's the Jurassic Park that we always wanted to see. Because it's the Jurassic Park where there's actually a park.
Where there's actually a park and people going around. You have hundreds, scores of people for the dinos to gobble.
Yes, exactly. That's what we wanted from Jurassic Park. We were expecting Disneyland with dinosaurs eating people.
Not those of us who read the book.
Well, yeah, obviously the book was great. But that's what you want in the movie, is you want Disneyland with dinosaurs eating people. And that's what we're getting. Finally, Jurassic World. There's a Disneyland-style park with dinosaurs, and they eat people.
Yes, but before you even knew what you had, you were selling it.
And now you're selling it. And now you're selling it. And now you're selling it.
Yes, and that's the essence of Jurassic theory. I would say this is... I don't know if I would quite put it up there. This is one of the top 5 movies. I've heard nothing but, like, this looks so fun from everybody, and I admit that's me too. This looks so fun.
It does.
I'm, like, hoping for raptors on motorbikes, people. Okay, maybe not that much, but I'm right there. It's... Maybe call it a childhood throwback where I'm just, like, all enthralled about dinosaurs again, because...
I'm sold. I am dinosaurs. So sold.
Okay. Will I go see it? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Will it do big money? Heck
oh, yeah.
Should you go see it? Oh, heck
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and definitely that's number one.
That's number one for the weekend.
That's number one for the weekend. It's the only movie coming out, really.
And there's a big reason for that. You don't put up something. There's always those times when you figure, even as somebody sitting in the bleachers, you know that the execs are going, okay, so nobody's going to be stupid enough to put our movie up against Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't.
Don't do it. We want to make money.
Just don't. There's nothing else coming out that week. It's Jurassic World. That wins.
Thank you. Following weekend is a family movie that comes out, and I don't know what to think. It's Inside Out, Pixar's latest animated movie. And I'm not sure where they're going with this premise, honestly, because it's not like the premise sounds bad. You've got basically the idea is you're literally composed of little people inside your head telling you how to feel, like anger and anxiety, whatever. And I don't know where you go beyond that. It sounds like a nice idea, but I don't see how you could make a plot around that unless, like, one of their key character elements accidentally goes exploring outside their head and suddenly they're not happy anymore, or angry anymore, or whatever.
Which actually, from the trailers, actually kind of looks like what happens is that joy gets lost. And so they have to try and cope without joy around, or whatever it is. It's something like that.
Something like that, but it just happiness
lost.
Or joy. The upbeat character
gets disappeared for some reason. And well, if you don't understand how this works, you just need to watch Herman's Head again, which yes, more adult-oriented show from the early 90s.
I was to say early 90s.
Yeah, but yeah, basically the
80s?
same idea. It might be late 80s.
Okay, but anyway, it's basically the same idea.
Yeah, like you have the different characters in the head that represent different parts of the psyche, and they're always arguing, and all of that. Yeah, blah. And and it can be funny, and it can be fun, and I thought that Inside Out looked like fun. I think that it's great counter programming for the Jurassic World. You've got the kids want to come in. It's a Pixar movie, right? So of course you've got the fun with Pixar, and it looks like fun. I thought it looked like enjoyable time, and good counter programming for the Jurassic World that's going to be dominating the box office at that point.
I just hear.
I think that the biggest reason that it's going to do some boffo is the poor bastard factor. Really, I mean, you got
the whole family's going to see
you got to hide PBF on that.
Yeah, I'm mixed feelings on this because Pixar used to blow me away a lot with their writing and what they were doing, and just in the past few years, I'd almost say since they were acquired by Disney.
Yeah.
I've been so unimpressed. I mean, they've been popping
Planes.
No, Planes was a Disney film, wasn't it? Or was Planes?
It was Pixar.
It was Pixar. Planes.
Because Planes was a Cars spinoff.
Planes.
Cars 2?
Cars 2. It just... They have not been what they were at the start.
But Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3.
Give me Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3, but it's just like...
You cried. I know you did. Everybody did.
Yeah, a little choked up. How do I say it? I'll see it. I think it'll do well. I think people should go see it.
I think it looks like fun.
That said, I'm anxious about the writing aspect of it because one of the scenes that I keep seeing played in the trailers for laughs is the part with the mom thing, the mom things signaling the dad things. And it relies on the father is a clueless dolt trope where he's like fantasizing about football or something in the back of his head. And I find that every bit as sexist as having, if the mom in her head was shown like entering a fantasy world of shoe shopping, people would be pissed. Rightly so. If that was all the mom thought about was like doing these traditional housewifey type things. And I know they have the whole thing about like, oh, why did we marry the Brazilian helicopter pilot or whatever?
Right.
And then she starts fantasizing about that, which brings on a whole like sort of like, so what? I'm supposed to be charmed because she's dreaming that she wishes she was somebody else? It just makes me a little bit like, yeah, I know it's played for laughs, but it immediately clicks in my mind like, okay, we're going back to the whole the dad is an idiot type thing, and the mom wishes she was married to somebody else. Is there some kind of dark undertone to this, or do they think this is actually... I don't know. That kind of stuff doesn't pass by me lightly. One, because I feel like it's a stupid overused trope, just like I think the mom being obsessed with going shopping or shoe shopping or whatever is stupid.
Charge it!
Yeah, thank you very much, the Flintstones. Yeah,
I understand the overused ideas on there, and... certainly, there's that. But
why would you have a movie where the mom is like, especially a kids film where the mom is picturing somebody else that she wished she married somebody else, even on like some kind of subtle level? Like, what kind of message does that send? Like, seriously, like, I'm not trying to get overly deep about like a kids film, but at the same time, I expect more from my kids films. So I don't like something that's meant as a throwaway gag that could have like some sort of weird, like if you analyze.
You're reading too much.
I don't know. It's something that really kind of bothers me. Maybe, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it or not, but it's just throwing weight. I don't think you could throw stuff in there like that without thinking about it. Okay, June 19th. That again, we have a weekend where this is the only thing coming out, and again, rightly so. Unless there's something else there that you want to mention. I don't think there was.
No, not really. The only thing coming out was Infinitely Polar Bear about Mark Ruffalo as playing a bipolar dad taking care of his kids. Which actually looks like it'd be probably pretty good.
But limited release. And...
yeah, limited release. Looks like a good movie, though. Be interested to see, and it looks like it has a fairly balanced perspective of the bipolar, and actually kind of presents somebody who's bipolar in a reasonable way, like kind of like actually represents them without kind of making fun of the idea. So I'm kind of interested to see. So I'm kind of interested to see it. I think Mark Ruffalo is a good actor. But yeah, limited release. If you're interested in that sort of thing, check it out.
So, last but not least, for June, you've got the 26th, which has two movies coming out. One which Ted 2. I hope it bombs. It looks crude. It looks stupid.
Just like the first one, which we all loved.
And just listening to the trailer dialogue makes me feel nauseous. It seems like some of the world's dumbest attempt for whatever message it's trying to give. I don't know. everything about it just seems. I don't know.
Well,
you
the first one was a lot of fun.
Shoulder slumping.
I think the biggest problem with the original, the first Ted, was that it just wasn't crude enough. I think that, like kind of an unrated version would have been better. But, I think that Ted 2 probably be just as funny. And from the trailers I've seen, I think it'll be quite enjoyable.
I feel like...
And probably do Boffo at the box office.
I feel like
just to annoy you.
No, you see, how do I say it? I feel like the gross out... It opens with this stupid, really kind of gross joke, too, on the trailer. I feel like that era... I don't even know if you can call 10 years or 7 or 8 years of era, but those kind of comedies that rely on the kind of gross outness, I feel like their time has come and gone. Mm-hmm. And I hear what you're saying about it being like you wish that it had been more crude or whatever in the first one. But that being said, maybe that was... I think that personally, because everything's opinion here, I think it looks stupid. But for the people who like that kind of thing, they might see this movie and be like, I feel like it's overdone because it's relying... It looks in the trailer like it's relying on a style of comedy that was popular about 10 years ago.
Which is what sells it. It's nostalgia.
I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I hope it bombs.
It's a dirty Teddy Ruxpin.
It's a dirty Teddy Ruxpin, but I think there comes a point when you... I don't know. I'm hoping maybe too much for civilization here. That there's some point where you say, no, that's a bit too crude for me.
Yeah, you're hoping too much. I thought the original one was funny. I thought that there were some jokes that they could have really pushed a little bit and really, gotten it funny if they would have pushed that a little bit, poked the bear a little harder, and they just didn't. And I think that's kind of, I'm hoping they go a little bit, poke the bear a little harder on the second one. But probably not. It'll probably be just the same, more of the same goofy humor. And I like Seth MacFarlane. I think he makes funny stuff. For the most part, I mean, there are some gags and Family Guy that I still go, nice try, whatever. But I think funny. I enjoyed the first one. Not my favorite movie of all time by a long shot, but it was funny. It was enjoyable. It was fun for the time. So, yeah, I think Ted 2 will be more of the same.
So, will it make money?
Yeah, I think it'll make a bunch of money.
Will people see it?
Yeah, everybody's going to see it.
I don't think everybody will see it. And that goes to the, should you see it? My opinion's no.
Yeah, if you liked the first one, definitely see it. If you're a fan of Family Guy, check it out. You might, probably watch Ted first, because you could probably pick that up for free at this point. And if you like Ted, then check it out. But if you're a fan of Family Guy, watch Ted. If you like Ted, then watch Ted too. That's what I'm saying.
Alrighty, moving on to the other movie that weekend that I think is the one that's going to take it, because there's only 2 movies come. Well, actually, let's hold back on the what would take that weekend thing. Mr. Jester here, he said to himself. Samuel L. Jackson as the president in Big Game, which is a big dumb action movie kind of looking thing. And
yeah, pretty much like that.
Pretty much, it's pretty much a big dumb action movie.
Big dumb action movie, yeah.
With Samuel L. Jackson, which I don't know. I forgot to catch the rating on it to see if it has
it's
the
R.
It is? Okay, then we can expect I'm tired of the bleepity bleepity. You can expect him to drop that line somewhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of
even though he's playing the president, he is going to talk about these monkey flipping snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
Something like that. Yeah, it's become his basically. I'll be back.
Yeah.
It's that for him, and I don't know. It looks confusing. I don't mean that it needs to have. You don't need to. You're giving me the funny look here. It just.
What are you confused by?
Okay, terrorists are trying to assassinate the president for some reason. They're using Finland as their home base.
Why are you confused by that? I would use Finland too.
It's not the plot that confuses me. It's the way the trailer is shot. Which I don't want to say the trailer is shot, but it's the way the stuff is shot in the movie. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it was Steadicam shot, at least not some of it. But I'm saying that it's obviously a big action movie, but it suffers from bad editing, potentially. At least from what I've seen from the trailer.
Well, the trailer suffers from bad editing, is what you're saying.
The trailer might suffer from bad editing, but at the same time, I'm seeing shots that are supposed to be the shots that sell me on the movie, and those look confused to me. Like, maybe it's too much Steadicam, maybe it's too much quick cutting going on. And again, that could be the fault of the trailer editor. But
I think, and from what I've seen, and having edited a few things in my time, I think that probably that's the trailer editor's fault. From what I've seen, it looks like, yes, the trailer was poorly edited together, but I don't think that that's an indication of the movie. I think that's an indication of the trailer.
Okay.
So, Samuel L. Jackson as president? Oh, yeah, I really want to say a president that says Monday to Friday. Just throw that into a speech. Come on. But, it's always the fun idea of the president trapped behind enemy lines, got to make it out. He's got his little kid that's the Korean that's going to help him out and get him out of the trouble, and he's an archer for some reason.
Yeah, I was going to say, for some reason he knows how to use bows and arrows because of, I don't know,
because he watched
Hunger Games or something. I don't know.
He thinks he's Katniss all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But I think that it sounds like ridiculous amounts of fun for no good reason, and I like a good ridiculous amounts of fun for no good reason kind of movie.
I'm hoping, you see, okay, I'm mixed here. I'm hoping for a good ridiculous amounts of fun movie. I don't know though. I'm hoping for a second trailer to come along later on to sell me a little bit better on it, because I'll put Samuel L. Jackson as one of those actors who is in that range where you're like, he can sell the movie.
Yeah.
Like, okay, his name's above the marquee. I'm gonna go see it. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, sure. I'll see Snakes on a Plane.
I'll see Snakes on a Plane. Sure. I did.
Sure. I did. I saw it at the theater.
I saw it. I didn't see it at the theater, but I did see it, and it was because Samuel L. Jackson was in the lead.
Yeah, and it was fun.
And it was fun. It was fun. But I don't know. I'm going with will I see it? Probably, but maybe not in the theaters. I want a little bit more out of my action movies, and it needs to sell me a little bit better. Will it make
it's not one of those that I'll demand to see in the theater. It's not like even one of those say, honey, we got to go see that in the theater, which we never end up doing because we don't go to the theater near as much as we used to.
Theater.
Anyway,
but yeah,
it's not probably one of those that I'm going to insist on going to see in the movie theater. I'll probably tell her to pick it up at Blockbuster when it comes out, and okay, I guess the red box. But pick it up when it comes out. And we'll watch it here. And some Friday night we'll turn it up way too loud and annoy the neighbors with it.
Okay.
One of those kind of movies that you want to watch way too loud. And if I was still working at the theater, or if I had enough discretionary income to see all the movies that I want to see at the movie theater at the theater, it would have been one of those. But it's not one of those I demand.
If I had free movies, maybe I'd still see it. I would go see it because I saw everything when I could. But that being said, I actually think that this one might bomb because of the way that we're talking about it, which is, I want to go see it. It has Samuel L. Jackson, but at the same time, I don't have as much discretionary income, so I would tell the folks at home, go ahead and wait for video. Yeah, and I feel like most people would.
Yeah, if you've got a nice surround system or you've got some big speakers at home, then definitely I think it's one that you can wait for, but I think it's one that you need to see real loud. It definitely looks like one of those that definitely the real loud is going to come into big importance in it. Well,
I get that. But since this is like the last action-ish movie that comes out in June, this is a tail end of talking about June as well. I want to say that there are movies that are action movies that you want to see in the theater, that are big, boom, bah, ha. Yeah. Okay, just for me, maybe San Andreas, because they're showing like these huge sweeping shots of the city that only look really impressive on the big screen.
Yeah.
And when you're seeing something like Age of Ultron, you see like massive amounts of things. It's so dense. There's so much going on the screen. You want to see it on the big screen. Mm-hmm. And when there's something as huge and awesome as like Mad Max Thunder Road, because they have these huge like actual life set pieces and such.
Yeah, and
you're going to
real
see
things happening.
Real things happening. You want to see that on the big screen.
Yeah.
That said, there are action movies, like movies with Jason Statham and such, that I didn't see on the big screen because even though it had action in them, it wasn't like a big priority because a car chase is awesome, but it's not always something I necessarily...
It's not something that you need the giant screen to appreciate.
It's not necessarily something I need a giant screen for. Something like Furious 7 maybe, because you're going to be counting on cars with like big revving engines.
Yeah.
But that's just
and you want that coming through. Sure. Yeah, and I think that definitely, like even watching with my nice sound system that I have of watching the Fast and Furious movies, it still loses just a little bit. You know, I've got a nice subwoofer, but you still lose just a little bit. It not being in that theater with it all around you and pervasive when that thing fires up. And yeah, I think that there are moments, even from watching the trailer, I think there are moments that will play better on the big screen. I mean, the big crash of Air Force One definitely, I think, will play better on the big screen than it would on your small one. But it's not something that's going to,
like, one airplane crash isn't enough to say. Yeah, right. That sounds horrible, doesn't it? One airplane crash isn't enough to sell me to see the movie on the big screen.
Right. And most of the movie seems like it's just taking place in the jungle and him traipsing around, getting chased through the jungle. Too, but it looks like a lot of fun. I think that it'll probably do pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't see it being
I think it'll do okay, but I don't see it doing okay enough. Like I said, I still feel like this is going to be a disappointment. And because people, it's not enough to crash a plane anymore. You need more. So
it's one of those movies that should get more love, but it's not getting enough.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up the TED 2 and Big Game weekend of June 26th.
And so what do you think was going to win the box office?
I'm actually scrolling backward to see what else came out before. Because
what came out before? Because you don't think TED 2 is going to do it?
I don't think TED 2 is going to do it. I don't think that the Big Game is going to do it. I would say Inside Out or Jurassic World again, although that's like already in the third week.
Third week for Jurassic World.
Third week for Jurassic World.
Third World, that's too long.
Inside Out, then. Inside Out might have legs.
Inside Out's going to come second to a Big Game.
Inside Out has kids, and kids see movies, and kids bring parents.
Right, high PBF.
High PBF there. Yeah.
Right, but I think it's going to die off too quick.
Inside Out?
Yeah, Inside Out's going to die off
I may have my own misgivings about it, but I don't see it. I see the weekend of June 26th going to Inside Out. Maybe second place going to maybe TED 2. I don't know. I just don't see that there's a big market for that. I really don't. And
you don't think Big Game's gonna cut it?
I don't think Big Game's gonna cut it.
I'm gonna give it to Big Game, and I think TED 2 coming in second and third place.
I think Jurassic Park has legs. Takes second. I think that I think it's gonna go Inside Out first. Jurassic World as second, and third place will go to TED 2 with Big Game in like fifth or sixth.
You just don't expect much from. That's your bomb of the summer so far?
Is Big Game? No, it's not a bomb per se. There are a lot of movies that I predicted as a bomb. There's ones that I hope are a bomb, like TED 2. But I think that Big Game is going to be one that's an unintentional bomb, one that people they didn't have like high expectations like Gangbuster, whatever, excuse me, of like Age of Ultron. But it's going to be one of those ones that people tilt their heads and go, well, why didn't it perform better? And that
like
might be
Snakes on a Plane.
Like Snakes on a Plane. And I think that it goes back to what we were saying before, and that might become my new line. It's not enough to crash a plane anymore. That is a big explosion-y scene, but it's just not enough.
Just not enough.
It's not enough to draw people in. So that pretty much wraps up June, and I'm looking forward to the movies that are coming out there. We'll see how it all goes.